The farm stir 2.0 is flaring up. The capital's borders witness scenes similar to the 2021 farmer agitation. Concrete barricades, barbed wires have been put up to stop the farmers' Delhi Chalo march. But as the Kisans tried to power through, there was a violent escalation. The MSP guarantee is one of the main demands of the farmers this time round. The question is, will the government be able to break the deadlock? Here is our lead story tonight.
Tear gas fills the air. Fierce confrontations. Obstacles. Sharp spikes. Barbed wire barriers. And law enforcement in riot gear. Once again, farm protests erupt in India's grain bowl heartland, evoking memories of the march from Punjab and Haryana to the nation's capital on November 26, 2020.
हालात यहाँ पर कहीं ना कहीं बेकाबू होते जा रहे हैं और सिचुएशन तनाव वाली बनी हुई है। लोगों को भी समझाने की कोशिश की जा रही है कि लोग भी आगे ना बढ़ें। और ये देखिए, ये जो ड्रोन आया है, इससे टीयर गैस सेल फेंके जा रहे हैं।
Behind me is what you witness is almost like a war zone because there's a consistent. Oh my God! This is where a tear gas has gone on, and obviously this is almost suffocating because of the nature. And remember, this is where media station and continuously you see the farmers on one end, and this is where the farmers on one end and the Central Armed Police as well as Haryana Police on the other end. So continuously there is back and forth stone pelting.
This time around, the protests carry a different tone from the prolonged agitation of the past. In contrast to the 2020 protests against new agricultural laws, which were eventually repealed a year later. The February 2024 protests focus on long-standing grievances confronting the country's agricultural sector.
देखिए किसान कितना पीसफुल है, कुछ भी नहीं हो रहा, फिर भी आप ऊपर क्या बोलते हैं, रॉबर्ट से ऊपर से हंजू गैस फेंके जा रहे हैं, ड्रोन से।
एजीटी कितनी देर चलेगा यहाँ पे?
देखिए जब तक सरकार मांग नहीं माने।
Key among the farmers' demands is the enactment of a new law ensuring a minimum support price for their crops. Despite some progress on other fronts, the impasse over the legally backed minimum support price fueled Monday's demonstrations. While the government sets minimum prices for over 20 crops annually, the Food Corporation of India primarily purchases rice and wheat at these rates, benefiting only about 6% of farmers. The government maintains that time is needed to devise a solution.
मैं मानता हूं कि बातचीत के माध्यम से समाधान निकल सकता है। इस बात को समझने की जरूरत है। इस बात को यदि हम समझेंगे तो स्वाभाविक रूप से इसका समाधान को अच्छे ढंग से निकाल पाएंगे।
Traffic routes and border restrictions around Delhi led to extensive gridlock in the city. Currently, it is Shambhu border, located approximately 230 kilometers north of Delhi, that has become the focal point of clashes between enraged farmers and authorities striving to prevent their advance towards the city. With Kamaljeet Sandhu and Satyendra Chauhan, Bureau Report, India Today.
I want to do first on the show is go across live to my colleague Manjeet Saigal. He's joining us from the Sandhu border. This is the border between Punjab and Haryana, which is where a lot of the violence took place through the day. Manjeet, you've been speaking to the farmers. What's the situation on the ground now? What are the police telling you, and what do you think is most likely to happen tomorrow?
Well, Rahul, the situation here on ground is really tense as farmers continue to reach the Shambhu border. Farmers even tried to break the barricading put up by the Haryana police. Haryana police had warned the farmers not to reach and violate the section 144. Remember, this section has been imposed in 15 districts out of a total 22 districts in Haryana. But when the farmers did not spot and indulge into stone pelting, the police started firing the tear gas shells with the help of drones. So police is keeping an eye on the protesters and taking no chances, and seems to have learned a lesson from the farmer agitation which we witnessed in 2020 and 2021. As far as the farmers are concerned, Rahul, they say their destination is not Haryana. They want to reach New Delhi to press for their demands. They had, in fact, raised at least a dozen demands, out of which there was no consensus on 3 major demands, like making a law on the MSP and bringing all the crops under the MSP regime, besides a loan waiver. These demands have not been met, and the farmers say they will continue their Delhi Chalo march till their demands are met. Rahul.
Ranjit Sehgal, thank you very much. Earlier during the day, one of my colleagues, Satinder Chauhan, was in fact injured while he was reporting from the Shambhu border. I want to go across to the hospital in Chandigarh, where Satinder is currently recuperating. There's a lot of concern on social media and elsewhere about his condition, so I think it's best that viewers hear directly from Satinder. Satinder, welcome. How are you doing now? कैसी तबीयत है आपकी? कैसे हाल है आपके? ज़्यादा चोट तो नहीं लगी? क्या बता रहे हैं डॉक्टर आपको, सतिंदर?
देखिए, उस समय सुबह से ही हालात तनाव के बने हुए थे और दोपहर होते होते पुलिस और प्रदर्शनकारियों के बीच में टकराव हो गया था, और टकराव इस कदर बढ़ गया था कि किसानों ने पत्थर मारने शुरू कर दिए थे, और उसके जवाब में पुलिस ने लगातार आंसू गैस के गोले छोड़ने शुरू कर दिए थे। और एक समय ऐसा भी आया जब पुलिसकर्मी कूदकर बैरिकेड्स छोड़कर किसानों की तरफ नीचे सामने आ गए थे, और वहां पर ऐसा लग रहा था कि पुलिसकर्मी कहीं ना कहीं गिर गए हैं, क्योंकि पथराव हो रहा था। और वहां से लगातार उन पुलिसकर्मियों को निकालने के लिए जब 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 वहां पर पथराव बढ़ गया तो फायरिंग की आवाजें आने लगी, और हम क्योंकि वहां पर लगातार कवरेज कर रहे थे, तो अचानक जो है मेरे साथ आसपास के भी लोग थे वो भी घायल होकर वहां पर गिर पड़े, और मुझे भी कुछ ऐसा लगा कि चोट लगी है और मेरे चेहरे से खून बहने लगा। और शायद मुझे ऐसा लगा, क्योंकि मैं लाइव कर रहा था, आसपास से इस तरह के आवाजें आ रही थी कि जैसे गोली चली हो, और लाइव पे मैंने बोला कि शायद मुझे गोली लग गई है। हालांकि वहां पर जो लोग थे तुरंत मेरे को ले गए हॉस्पिटल में, और हॉस्पिटल में ले जाके मुआयना कराया, और यहाँ पर ये बताया जा रहा है कि वो छर्रे थे।
Okay, Satinder Chauhan, thank you very much for joining us. As I said, we've got different kinds of voices joining us on this broadcast. I want to welcome Ramandeep Singh. He's one of the protesting farmers joining us from the ground. We've got Mohini Mohan Mishra, Secretary of the Bharatiya Kisan Sangh. Supriya Shrinet represents the Congress party. I want to tell our viewers that the BJP has decided not to send a spokesperson for this broadcast. They basically said that we are in talks with the farmers, and because the matter is sensitive and we're trying to resolve it, they're not sending somebody. We have Shivraj Singh, President of the Bharatiya Kisan Union, Lok Shakti, and he's with us in the studio. And Harish Damodaran is one of our top rural affairs experts, rights on agriculture. And I want to go across to Harish Damodaran to try and get a sense of, you know, really how the facts stack. Given the current situation, where do the facts stack? So we'll talk to Harish Damodaran about that. Rajat Sethi will join us as well, who's a public policy expert. So first and foremost, I want to go across to Ramandeep Man. Ramandeep जी, आप बॉर्डर पे हैं अभी, आज स्थिति काफ़ी नाजुक थी, इसके बाद अब क्या होगा? सबसे बड़ा सवाल यही है, किसानों के एक नुमाइंदे के तौर पे आपकी तमाम बाकी किसानों से बातचीत हो रही है, आपको कुल मिला के क्या जानकारी मिल रही है कि यहाँ से आज जो हुआ उसके बाद किसान क्या बॉर्डर पे ही डटे रहेंगे, या बातचीत से आपको लग रहा है सरकार के साथ जो हो रही है उसमें कोई समाधान निकल सकता है?
यहाँ पर कुछ नहीं हुआ जी, अभी तो कुछ भी नहीं हुआ। देखो, हमारी हाथ जोड़ के आदरणीय जो मोदी जी से ये विनती है कि हम तो ये मांग लेके आ रहे हैं कि जो एमएसपी व्हाट इज अनाउंस फ्रॉम द गवर्नमेंट, व्हाट इज प्रोपेगेटेड फ्रॉम द गवर्नमेंट, कि इट इज मिनिमम प्राइस जो फार्मर के पास आनी चाहिए, हम तो वो बोल रहे हैं कि वो दे दो, उसका लॉ बना दो। ये सीधी बात है। अब इसमें एक और कमेटी बनाना, वो देखो जब लास्ट फार्मर प्रोटेस्ट हमने स्थगित किए थे तो उसमें वी वर एश्योर्ड कि एक एमएसपी कमेटी बनेगी और हर एक फार्मर को एमएसपी मिलेगी, लेकिन सैडली उसमें तो जो यहाँ पे फार्मर बैठे थे 13 महीने के लिए बैठे थे, उसमें एक भी आदमी उनका नहीं था। जो वहाँ पे फार्मर बैठे थे एक भी फार्मर यूनियन का या फार्मर लीडर उसमें वो नहीं था। और अब 2 साल और 2 महीने वेट कर लिया।
पर सर आप तो एक तरीके से इलेक्शन से पहले आ गए हो ना रमनदीप जी, आप एक इलेक्शन अभी अनाउंस होने वाले हैं कुछ हफ्ते में, इलेक्शन से ठीक पहले आ गए हो। ये तो ऐसा लग रहा है कि दिस इज पॉलिटिक्स थ्रू द फार्मर्स, कि आप लोग राजनीति कर रहे हो, सरकार को घेरने की कोशिश कर रहे हो। आपकी बातचीत होनी भी चाहिए, सरकार बातचीत भी कर रही है, लेकिन इस तरीके से प्रेशर बनाना क्या एक तरीके से ये पॉलिटिकल एजिटेशन है आपका?
नहीं, कोई सरकार कोई बातचीत नहीं कर रही। कल पीयूष गोयल भी थे, मैं भी उस मीटिंग में था, तो हमने यही हाथ जोड़ के विनती की, भाई आप अनाउंस करते हो और आप उसको लीगल सैंक्टिटी दे दो। बट पीयूष गोयल जी कहते नहीं, आई हैव टू स्पीक टू समबडी, ही वेंट आउटसाइड, ही स्पोक टू समबडी। अब पता नहीं कौन समबडी है वो। फिर ही केम इनसाइड एंड देन ही सेड कि नहीं इसमें बहुत इम्पैक्ट है, ये है वो। तो हम देखो बात सीधी है, सीएसीपी जो सीएसीपी जो हमारा एमएसपी करती है वो एमएसपी अनाउंस करती है, वो ही एमएसपी हमारी गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया कर देती है। हमारी हाथ जोड़ के सिर्फ इतनी विनती है कि सीएसीपी आपकी, लागत आपकी। देखो हम अगर अपनी बात पे आए तो लागत तो हमारी बहुत ज्यादा है, तो वी आर नॉट आस्किंग फॉर द मून, वी आर जस्ट सेइंग कि भाई जो आप अनाउंस करते हो वो दे दो, और वो हमको मिलता नहीं तो उसका लॉ बना दो, बस इतनी बात है। अब इसमें क्या कमेटी बनेगी,
इतना सिंपल है नहीं ना। एक कैलकुलेशन की गई है इकोनॉमिस्ट द्वारा जो कि कह रही कि करीब 11 लाख करोड़ रुपए का खर्चा आएगा अगर ये 23 जो फार्म प्रोडक्ट्स हैं अगर सब पे हमें एमएसपी लगानी पड़े, तो जो सारे का सारा पैसा है जो कि इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर पे, पब्लिक गुड्स पे खर्च होता है, जिससे कि सड़कें बनती हैं, एयरपोर्ट बनती हैं, वो तो सारी फिर हमारी इकोनॉमी की साइज करीब 45 लाख करोड़ है। तो ऐसे में 11 लाख करोड़ एमएसपी पे कैसे खर्च हो सकते हैं सर?
देखो इसमें देखो जो गलत बात नहीं करनी। अभी आपने हरीश दामोदर जी को बैठाया, बड़ा इज्जत है, मैं उनके आर्टिकल पढ़ के मैंने सीखा उनसे बहुत कुछ। आप हरीश दामोदर जी से पूछ लो, एक बार बेंचमार्क बना दोगे तो जो मंडी है वो उसी हिसाब से चलती है। अब आपने इनका आर्टिकल पढ़ लो, एक आर्टिकल 5 लाख करोड़ का है। देखो मैं आपको सीधी बात बताऊं, किसानों वाली बात, भाई देखो एक बात हमारी ये भी हुई थी कि सारी की सारी ही जो हमारी फसल है कि वो गवर्नमेंट खरीदे, वो हमें बात, हमने कहा भाई ये नहीं हो सकता, बात डुएबल करें, बात करनी चाहिए डुएबल। तो हम तो ये करें, एमएसपी आप अनाउंस करते हो, आप ये बोलते हो ना न्यूनतम इतना किसानों को मिलना चाहिए, उसका लॉ बना दो। अब देखो इसमें गरारी हरीश दामोदरन जी भी फंसा देंगे, इसमें इन्फ्लेशन भी ले आओगे आप, इसमें बहुत कुछ ले आओगे, लेकिन देखो अनाउंस आप करते हो, या तो ऐसा करो, हम एक बात भी मानते हैं, एमएसपी अनाउंस करना बंद कर दो, आप एमएसपी अनाउंस करना बंद कर दो। अब आप हरीश दामोदरन जी से पूछ लो।
चलो मैं एक बार हरीश दामोदरन से, बिकॉज ही सच अ सॉट आफ्टर नेम एंड इज respected by both sides, therefore I thought it's important to hear from Harish Damodaran. Harish, as of now, you know, we have a he said she said kind of situation where the government has put out an estimate saying that it will cost 11 lakh crore rupees if MSP is to be guaranteed on all the crops that the farmers are asking for an MSP guarantee. Now the likes of Yogendra Yadav and the others claim to have done their own calculations, where their calculation is that it won't even cost 1 lakh crore rupees and that this is something which the government can well afford and therefore it's not as prohibitive as is being made out to be. Now, since you study agriculture as your domain subject, do you want to give our viewers a sense of just how practical the demands by the farmers are? Can this actually be done, or are the farmers just trying to find some pressure tactic to pin the government down? Harish Damodaran.
See, Rahul, there are 3 ways of guaranteeing MSP. Okay, one is the government buying the entire produce, whatever the produce comes to the mandis and stocking up, etc. Okay, that we know is not practical. Okay, government can buy wheat and rice. Okay, because it needs to run it needs to run the public distribution system, etc. But what will a government do by buying, say, sesamum or say safflower, etc.? You know, it's not possible for the government to buy. The second route is for the government to force the private sector to pay the MSP. Okay, like this is already being done in the case of, say, sugarcane. Right? In sugarcane, sugar mills are by law required to pay what is called the fair and remunerative price of sugarcane within 14 days of the farmers delivering the cane to the mill. Okay, and we know that this also is not easy to enforce because every year we know that there are huge areas in as far as cane areas are concerned. I think there is a third route, which is basically the government pays the price difference. The government says, okay, let the trade happen, regular in the way it is normally done. Okay, like say, let us look at, say, maize. Suppose maize is, the MSP says 2,000 rupees, and MSP is selling and maize is selling at, say, 1,800 rupees. So the government then pays the price difference. Okay, I think the third route, one can look at it.
No, but how do you know that you won't be taken for a ride? For example, you actually sell at X, but you quote that you sold at X minus Y because you want to get the differential, which is Z, which is much more than what you actually sold at. So you could actually have a big scam happening just with the formula that you're suggesting.
No. So, but I would say that one big advantage of this particular system is it'll incentivize, state governments to set up mandis, and record every transaction. See, like in the case of stock market, for example, I know how much of Reliance shares I have bought at what price. Okay,
no, and how much quantity. Trading in agriculture doesn't happen like you trade in Reliance shares. It's not. Those are demat. You have a folio number. A lot of this is still in cash. It's happening face to face between farmers and the traders.
Correct. So what I'm saying is, in the case of, suppose we have a system where we are able to record every transaction. Okay, that, according to me, that's not a bad thing, but that is up to the states, So the center can give a deal. Okay, hey man, if Bihar is willing to implement this, okay, we'll pay the price difference. Okay, but then you have to generate the data, and it has to be credible. Okay, so I would say this is the third route. But even if this is not practical, maybe what the farmer needs is a minimum income support, instead of a price support, probably we need some kind of a minimum income for farmers. Can we move to that,
So what's your calculation? How much would this cost? The demand being made by the farmers, the government calculates will cost 10 lakh crores. What are your independent calculations? How much might this cost?
See, for example, I'll have the fertilizer subsidy, right? The fertilizer subsidy is something like, say, 1,50,000 crore, okay, every year. And if there are 10 crore farmers, if this 1,50,000 crore is distributed among 10 crore farmers, every farmer gets, 15,000 rupees, So I think maybe we should move to a system where we give a minimum, income support to the farmers. Like we already have the PM Kisan, right, which is giving 6,000 rupees. So, but I think the farmer needs some certainty of income, because we have to accept that agriculture is the only business where you face both production and price risks, and it happens, both together. No business you have both production and price risk. The farmer faces production.
No, but you didn't answer my question. I'm trying to understand how much would this cost. Now, for our viewers to understand, the government has allocated 11 lakh crore rupees for its overall spending on public infrastructure. All the roads, airports, ports, everything that's being built, they've set aside 11 lakh crore rupees. I'm trying to understand from you, Harish, how much would this cost if the demand of the farmers in the way that it's being met, in the way that it's being made, is actually implemented?
I think definitely, yes. I suppose it will cost about 10 lakh crore. I have not made any calculation whether how much is the price. I have not made any calculation such. But I believe we can move to a minimum income support to farmers. We need to move to that. considering the fact that agriculture is a very complicated business, there are both these risks. And we need, ultimately at the end of it, India has too many mouths to feed, right? And therefore we need farmers to be in business, because we can't afford farmers not to be in business. And given the kind of risks which are happening in agriculture, we should not be in a situation where farmers feel it's not worth doing agriculture, So if you ask me, I would say that, if you can't give MSP support by law or whatever, then maybe we should move to a minimum income support. That is what we
शिवराज
should
सिंह जी,
move towards.
10 लाख करोड़ रुपए का खर्चा आएगा, जो अगर आप डिमांड कर रहे हैं, अगर सरकार ने वाकई में मान ली, 11 लाख करोड़ रुपए सरकार कुल खर्च करती है, जितनी भी सड़कें हैं, हवाई अड्डे हैं, पोर्ट से बनाने में। तो जो डिमांड है आपकी वाजिब नहीं है इस तरीके से।
थोड़ा सा मुझे समझाने का समय देंगे
जी,
क्योंकि कुछ गुमराह किया जा रहा है।
हाँ।
पहले तो आपका धन्यवाद, और बीकेयू लोक शक्ति का राष्ट्रीय अध्यक्ष होने के नाते मैं किसानों से कहूंगा, चाहे भले ही सरकार कुछ भी करती रहे अपनी तरफ से, ड्रोन छोड़ती रहे, गैस के गोला छोड़ती रहे, लेकिन किसान उग्र ना हो। हम नहीं चाहते किसान उग्रता की तरफ से आंदोलन को ले जाए, और मैं हाथ जोड़ करके आपके चैनल के माध्यम से कहता हूं कि धैर्य से पर्चे करें, धैर्य से प्रोटेस्ट करें, क्योंकि आज एक हिंदुस्तान पाकिस्तान जैसी स्थिति हो गई है, जैसे हिंदुस्तान पाकिस्तान एक दो बॉर्डर पर खड़े हों, ऐसा ना रहे। वो भी किसान के ही बेटे हैं जो फोर्स में हैं, और ये भी किसान ही हैं जो दोनों एक ही माँ के लाल हैं। एक के हाथ में माँ ने राइफल थमा दिया और एक के हाथ में हल्का हत्था थमा दिया, तो दोनों आपस में ना लड़े। दूसरा, जो ये एमएसपी वाली बात, न्यूनतम समर्थन वाली बात चल रही है, पहली बात तो मैं आपको बता देता हूं कि देश में सरकार के पास आयात निर्यात के लिए पैसा है। जिस समय किसान की फसल पक के आती है, उस समय विदेश से ये आयात, दलहन भी आयात करती है, कच्ची खांड भी आयात करती है, चावल भी आयात करती है, गेहूं भी आयात करती है। ये सारी चीज, दलहन और चावल, गेहूं, ये कच्ची खांड, ईंख हमारे देश में खूब है, फिर भी बाहर से कच्ची खांड आती है, चीनी तक आयात की है बाहर से। तो आयात निर्यात का सिस्टम सही नहीं है, उसके लिए पैसे कहां से आ जाते हैं। दूसरी बात मैं आपको समझा देता हूं, कोई किसान लीडर ये नहीं कह रहा कि सरकार हमारी एमएसपी पर संपूर्ण फसल की खरीद करे। हम ये कह रहे हैं ये सबसे न्यूनतम समर्थन मूल्य है, नीचे का सपोर्ट प्राइस है ये। इसको जो भी गांव में या दलाल बैठे हैं, जो बाजार में आढ़त बैठी है, जो सरकार गल्ला नहीं खरीद पाती, हम प्राइवेट व्यापारी के पास अपना बेचने के लिए ले जाते हैं, वो कम से कम किसान की जेब ना काटे, वो न्यूनतम समर्थन मूल्य से नीचे ना खरीदे, क्योंकि ये सबसे नीचे का मूल्य है, उच्चतम मूल्य नहीं है, मैक्सिमम प्राइस नहीं है, ये न्यूनतम प्राइस है। तो न्यूनतम प्राइस से नीचे भी किसान की फसल बिकेगी, चूंकि देश की जो महंगाई बढ़ी वो बिलोम अनुपात से बढ़ी, किसान की फसलों के दाम कम अनुपात से बढ़े, और तनख्वाहों की और सारे वस्तुओं की, सोने की, लोहे की, ईंट की, सीमेंट की, इनकी सारी महंगाई बहुत, डीजल की, खाद की, इनकी महंगाई बहुत तेजी से बढ़ी।
पर मैं देख रहा था यूपीए से अगर तुलना करें तो जो एमएसपी है पिछले 10 सालों में काफी बढ़ी है, अलग अलग
काफी बढ़ी है। मैं ये नहीं कह रहा,
फिर मैं
भाजपा का विरोधी नहीं हूं, ना मैं राजनीतिक हूं जो मैं उल्टे सीधे आरोप किसी पे लगाऊं। मैं ये कह रहा हूं, शुरू से ही जब से देश आजाद हुआ है आज तक, सन 67 में नेवी लगी थी, उस समय का आंकलन आप निकाल लो, पहले नेवी 75 रुपया क्विंटल गेहूं बिका था, उस समय अध्यापक की तनख्वाह 150 रुपए होती थी, विधायक की तनख्वाह 50 रुपए मात्र होती थी। आज कितनी विधायक और सांसदों की तनख्वाह चली गई, और देश का आधे से अधिक बजट तो इन मान्यों की जेब में चला जाता है। इनकी पेंशन भी कई गुना बढ़ रही है, इनके भत्ता भी कई गुना बढ़ रहे हैं, इनकी तनख्वाह भी कई गुना बढ़ रही है, सुन लो। और जो इन्हें विकास शुल्क मिलता है, विकास निधि मिलती है, उसमें से भी 40% ठेकेदार के माध्यम से कमीशन खा जाते हैं, पूरा विकास निधि भी नहीं लगाते, जबकि नौकरी करने तो नहीं आते, सेवा करने आते हैं। इनकी तो तनख्वाह होनी नहीं चाहिए, इनको तो पेंशन होनी ही नहीं चाहिए।
नहीं, अब आप दूसरे पे लेके जा रहे हैं, तो आप पॉलिटिक्स कर रहे हैं। आपको अगर लड़ना तो आप लड़ लो चुनाव।
मैं सच्चाई बता रहा हूं, देश
के
अन्नदाता के लिए कंजूसी क्यों? देश का अन्नदाता ये कर रहा है प्राइवेट व्यापारियों के लिए।
वीट पे
आप कह रहे हैं सरकार खरीदे, मैं कह रहा हूं प्राइवेट व्यापारी भी।
वीट पे 2015 से 2024 के बीच में 57% जो एमएसपी है वो बढ़ी है। पैडी पे जो एमएसपी है वो 61% बढ़ी है।
आपकी तनख्वाह बढ़ गई
जी,
लेकिन तनख्वाह को देने की गारंटी नहीं रही। जो तनख्वाह आपको बढ़ाई वो आपको मिल नहीं रही, तो क्या आपकी भरपाई हो जाएगी? मुझे भूख लग रही है, भोजन की थाली मेरे सामने रखी है, लेकिन मैं उसे खा नहीं पा रहा हूं, मेरे पेट में नहीं पहुंच पा रही है, तो क्या मेरी भरपाई हो जाएगी? जो भी सरकार ने, मैं तो कह रहा हूं 1 रुपया और घटा दो, इसमें से 1% घटा दो, लेकिन जो आप एमएसपी घोषित कर रहे हो वो कम से कम उस पर प्राइवेट व्यापारी, सरकार को नहीं कह रहा मैं, सरकार के पास बजट नहीं है खरीदने के लिए, सरकार ना खरीदे। प्राइवेट व्यापारी जो बैठे हैं, जो दलाल बैठे हैं, जो सरकारी खरीद केंद्र पे जाकर के किसान के नाम से गल्ला बेचते हैं, किसान से सस्ते में खरीद लेते हैं और सरकारी खरीद केंद्रों पे जाकर के उसी किसान के नाम से बेच देते हैं और वो किसान के खाते में चली जाती है सरकारी खरीद केंद्र। इस पर रोक लगनी चाहिए।
Now I want to go across to Supriya Shrinit because Rahul Gandhi and the Congress party have come out and said one of their guarantees is that there will be MSP, Nyay, for Kisan, and there will be MSP as recommended by the MS Swaminathan committee report. Now the problem here is, Supriya, that the MS Swaminathan committee report was first submitted in December 2004. You were in power at that time. The fifth and final report came in October 2006. You were in power till May 2014. In the 10 years that you were in power, you did not recommend the MS Swaminathan committee report. Now when you are not in power, is it an act of politics that you are saying if you were to come to power, you will recommend a reports, recommendations which you did not implement for the 10 years that you were actually in power?
Thanks for having me on the show, and please bear with me. I will be breaking into Hindi and in English because a lot of our panelists speak Hindi. मैं तो सबसे पहले यहाँ पर दो चीजों पे चर्चा करना चाहती हूँ राहुल जी। आपको चिंता है देश की अर्थव्यवस्था की, आपको चिंता है इतना बजट हो जाएगा कच्चा, लेकिन उससे पहले चर्चा कर लेते हैं आज हो क्या रहा है। What is it that the farmers want? They wanted to come to Delhi today to protest against their government, a democratically elected government. Why has Delhi been converted into a fortress? उनके रास्तों में कीलें बिछा दी गई, सीमेंट की चट्टाने, बोल्डर, बैरिकेड लगा दिए गए, आंसू बम के गोले फेंके जा रहे हैं उनके ऊपर। ऐसा क्यों हो रहा है? Why is this happening? Why is Delhi out of the reach as far as India's farmers is concerned? I think that's a very pertinent question that should be raised. किसानों के दिल्ली आने से सरकार क्यों आपत्ति कर रही है, क्यों घबरा रही है, क्यों दिल्ली की किलेबंदी कर दी गई है और किसानों को आतंकियों की तरह ढकेला जा रहा है। जिस तरह का फोर्ट्रेस पाकिस्तान चीन के बॉर्डर पे होना चाहिए था, वो दिल्ली, पंजाब, हरियाणा के बॉर्डर पे दिख रहा है। पहला इसमें आपत्ति बहुत बड़ी ये है, ये दिल्ली देश की राजधानी सिर्फ हुक्मरानों की नहीं, किसानों की भी है। I will answer the second question in just a bit, the one that you asked me straight, but I'm putting forward some facts because I heard the discussion for about 30 odd minutes now. You are obviously very perturbed about the fact that this is going to cost 11 lakh crore rupees. I have not heard many discussions on TV debates about 14.5 lakh crore rupees that have been written off for India's corporates between 2014 to 24. I have not heard 4.5 lakh crore hit that government of India has taken because of the corporate tax rates that have been slashed from 32% to 22% and zilch jobs have been created. The reality is that any MSP for the farmer should not be seen in isolation. This is going to put the virtuous cycle of consumption, investment, agri-growth back in focus. And just for the benefit of the viewers here, let me point out 3 or 4 things that this government has done. Is Sarkar ne has consistently reduced the spend on agriculture as a percentage of the budget. It used to be close to 4.5%. It is down 2.6% right now. Consistently reduced spend on agriculture. The Standing Committee on Agriculture has stated in Parliament, no less, that the government did not use 1 lakh crore funds for agriculture and they were returned to the exchequer. Let's talk about MSP. A committee was set up, 750 farmers died. What has that committee come up with? And last but not the least, as the chairman of the working group on consumer affairs, then Gujarat Chief Minister, Mr. Modi said, no crop should be procured at below the MSP. Why is he not sticking to his own stance? And now to answer your question, it's a very good question that you asked me. And I do believe that the time for MSP is ripe right now. You have pointed out in several arguments, आपने लोगों को बोला कि MSP कितनी ऊपर हो गई। अरे 2014 से 24 के बीच में खेती करने का जो दाम था, जो कॉस्ट थी, वो कितनी ऊपर हो गई ये भी देखिए। Diesel in 2014 was 57 rupees a liter. It is at 90 rupees a liter right now. There is GST on pesticide, there is GST on fertilizer and on farming equipment.
No, but you aren't answering my question.
Earlier.
That
So
between December 26,
between
between October 2006, when the MS Swaminathan committee report was handed over to you, and April 2014, when you were in power, you had a good 8 years to implement the committee report, which you're saying you will do if you get a chance. Why didn't you do it when you had the chance?
Yeah. I am answering exactly that question. Because the cost of agriculture has gone up so steeply Agriculture is becoming non-remunerative.
No, but it was as difficult at that time. The MS Swaminathan committee is a formula
Rahul, you don't have to speak in between.
But you're not answering the question. It was always based on the cost at that time.
Ask your question.
The MS Swaminathan formula was always based on the cost of production at that time, which has nothing to do with how the cost of inputs have now gone up. I'm saying in the 8 years that you were in power, why did you not implement the committee report? That's what I'm asking you. Supriya Shinde.
It's as simple. The answer is very simple. What may have not been done then needs to be done now. We cannot keep making false promises to the farmers. You ended the farming stir. You took back the 3 black laws, anti-farmer laws, stating you were setting up a panel. What happened to that committee? Where is the MSP report of that committee? Why has the government not acted on it? And I am very touched and very perturbed by the kind of expense this is going to take. But 14.5 lakh crore written off for corporate India, raise no heckles. 4.5 lakh crore hit the government of India exchequer is taking because of corporate tax cuts, no hassle. जब भी फार्मर की बात होगी दिक्कत आ जाएगी. मेरा अपना मानना है that इस सरकार ने सुप्रीम कोर्ट को बोला कि हम स्वामीनाथन कमेटी लागू नहीं कर सकते हैं. इस सरकार ने राज्य सरकारों को चिट्ठी लिख के कहा अगर आप बोनस देंगे एमएसपी के ऊपर हम आपसे खरीद नहीं करेंगे. It tells you the real intention of this government. In states like Chhattisgarh, when we were in power, we ensured we gave more money to the farmers for procurement of paddy and whatever other crop was. And I think it may not have been done now. It needs to be done today, and which is why it's historic when we say we will pass an MSP law. We will ensure.
I want to go across to Rajat Sethi because while it's a very complex committee, just a very simple way of understanding the MS Swaminathan committee report is that it says that the MSP should at least be 50% more than the weighted cost of production. So whatever is the weighted cost of production, it should be 50% more, and that's the Swaminathan committee report in one line. Now, Rajat Sethi, you've just given MS Swaminathan the Bharat Ratna, and if the government gives Dr. Swaminathan the Bharat Ratna but doesn't implement his committee report, then the farmers will feel that they are being cheated, and this is quite bad optics. Farmers being stopped. Look at the depth of the barricades being created, drones being used to fire tear gas shells on the farmers. Supriya Shinde asks, why can't they come in? I mean, they should be allowed to come and protest if they want to protest.
So, Rahulji, there are a couple of questions that you've asked here. Let me point out the first thing around the formula of Swaminathan report, which has been repeatedly quoted. One of the farmer union leaders very rightly pointed out that nobody is expecting the government to come out and pay whatever outlays would it be to sort of give a guarantee on the MSP, but it should also be enforced through the private sector, that whatever private sector procurement happens through ways where you can digitally capture the price that is being given to the farmers and ensure that the minimum price is offered there, and it becomes a punishable offense if anybody is procuring below that level. Those are technical solutions which can very well be incorporated. There is already a lot of cash stealing which happens, which should not be allowed in this day and age. And I think that is where a convergence...
Answering my question, Rajat Sethi, here's the thing. Dr. Swaminathan just got a Bharat Ratna. There is an irony there that Dr. Swaminathan's been given a Bharat Ratna and his committee report and the formula that he suggests isn't implemented.
Well, I'm saying that yes, the formula should be implemented. The mechanisms, the technical aspect of those implementational part is what the government should focus on.
No, but between the time the protest got over to now, it's been 2 years, 2 months and 2 days. 700. I just did some calculation. 794 days since the 11th of December 2021, when the Sanyukt Kisan Morcha, the umbrella body of farmer unions, announced that they would vacate and the protest would end. It's been 2 years, 2 months and 2 days. You haven't implemented it so far.
No, well, I don't know how the government committee which has been appointed to resolve this crisis has been going about its day-to-day affairs. But yes, it is a complex problem. It is not an easy thing. And therefore, government should put in all their efforts to ensure that whatever formulation to provide a legal guarantee is given. But keep it in mind that it is not about government procuring all the farm produce at the MSP. It is like creating technical environment backed by digital technology to ensure that the price stamping is done. There are enough digital trails left for the entire Aratia community and the farm community to record every transaction that is happening. Also keep this in mind that whatever Rahul Gandhi has promised, he needs to, we are all aware citizens now, when we go into elections, we want to see the Bahi Khata. If you're promising an 11 lakh crore rupees an outlay on the MSP through the government procurement system, how are you going to finance it? You know, look at American elections. Does any president?
No, but there's a very smart economist who's watching at this time, belonging to one of the top, research houses, and he says that this calculation is wrong because if you're saying that it will cost 10 lakh crore rupees, you don't account for the fact that you will also sell it. So 10 lakh crores is what it may cost, but once you remove the price at which you will sell, the government only needs to incur the expenditure that's left, right? Doesn't need to incur all of 10 lakh crore rupees.
How would he go about doing it? Why does he not put up a paper in public domain? Let us all study what kind of a solution he has in mind. And let us see that if there is an X amount of outlay, what are the existing schemes that he's going to cut? See, ultimately, budget is about handpicking choices. He came out with a Nyay program in 2019 saying 72,000 rupees would be given to every household. He never gave us a budgetary calculation on both the sides of the balance sheet for us citizens to understand how is he going to print that amount of money. He always will go out and promise, and then the states languish. The state finances go all haywire. Look at what is happening in Telangana. Look at what is happening in Tamil Nadu. And look at what is happening in Karnataka.